I'm feeling the need to make a classic Mortal Kombat video again, and today's video is, I hope, an interesting one. Now, we've had 30 years of Mortal Kombat, so many foundations in place for characters or lore, even competitive play, with some characters keeping their moves and special attacks that they've had since the very beginning. However, with every main title comes an inevitable tier list, the best and worst characters, often in order, because inevitably some characters are going to be stronger than others. Now, have you ever wondered who the strongest character overall may be in one of your fondly remembered Mortal Kombat games? If you have, you're going to enjoy this one. If you've never wondered, well, stick around and you'll know by the end of this video anyway. Let's keep this intro brief because my name is Ketchup and we are going to uncover who is the strongest character in every single mainstream Mortal Kombat game, starting from 1992 all the way into right now. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to support the channel and click the notification bell to be alerted to all future uploads. Mortal Kombat 1992. Although a small roster of just 7 fighters, the strongest character in the very first Mortal Kombat is Sonya Blade. Not only is this character quite small and sports strange hurt boxes at times, the main reason this character is considered a clear number 1 is because she had the very first TOD combo in the series history. Sonya's leg grab when hitting an opponent out of something, what we generally know these days as a counter hit, leaves the opponent in a state where they cannot block again for a few frames standing back up. Now, this is a bug, and Sonya isn't the only character who can abuse this feature, but she is no doubt the best at it, because leg grab looped back into itself is a true unescapable infinite, where a single counter hit leg grab will win the entire round. This game has a lot more wild stuff in it, more than you'd expect for a game this old and early in the fighting game genre, but Sonya's leg grab infinite is definitely one of the game's most notorious. Mortal Kombat 2. A newcomer to the franchise, but definitely a character that made her mark in a big way, is Mileena. Mileena is often considered by many to be the number 1 character in Mortal Kombat 2, with Jax not far behind. Mileena was essentially the perfect character. Her projectile game was incredibly strong, her access to damage was consistent, her ball roll was the perfect anti-air, punish, or combo tool. Her telekick was fast and it could beat projectiles on reaction. Ball roll and telekick were weird to punish properly because of their animation while it recovers. Long story short, she could lock you down effectively and you could barely move against her. She played the game the best of anyone, and when you're looking at the best character in Mortal Kombat 2, you're usually looking right at Mileena. Vanilla Mortal Kombat 3 was a different game to Ultimate, and as such had a different tier list. Believe it or not, the best character in original Mortal Kombat 3 was Sub-Zero, and there was one clear reason for this: Ice Clone. The move made its debut here, and in this form was the scariest version of Ice Clone we'd ever see. The Ice Clone, when paired with Sub-Zero's other freeze attacks, would lead to true 100% combos pretty much anywhere on screen. It was a combination of Ice Clone being better, and the mechanics of MK3 being different to Ultimate, mostly around corner combos and the lack of pushback that certain moves would have. Because Sub-Zero could zone you out with freeze attacks and delete your life bar in a single touch thanks to Ice Clone, this character was absolute madness in vanilla MK3 and has been commonly agreed by many to be the best character in the game for over 20 years. Ultimate MK3 was a different story altogether. New characters, new mechanics in place for combos. It meant a new character would become number 1, who was merely second best in vanilla, and that is Kabal. Kabal in Ultimate MK3 is an absolutely flawless fighter. The best zoning thanks to instant air gas blast, the best rushdown, the fastest attack in Nomad Dash, some of the best jabs for run jab pressure, an amazing kick-starting string to blow up a defensive low poke attempt, relaunch combos versus a lot of the cast, something new to Ultimate. It is incredibly difficult to find something this character doesn't do either well or better than pretty much everybody else. A dominant legacy to last decades, Kabal in this game is one of the more infamous top tiers in any Mortal Kombat game for a good reason. The strongest character in Mortal Kombat Trilogy is Noob Saibot, regardless of whether you're on PlayStation or Nintendo 64. This character is the most broken character in all of Mortal Kombat, such so that Noob Saibot is consistently banned. This character has infinites all day, every day, the ability to prevent you from blocking while being able to deal damage to you. I mean, this character was just unfair in every single way. I made a video deep diving into Noob Saibot once in my competitive history, but long story short, this character is just broken beyond repair. When Mortal Kombat made its 3D debut, MK4 didn't really play like a 3D fighter as we know it. It was more like 2.5. The meta of MK4 was a bit more hit-and-run focused, as jabs didn't leave you so close to the opponent, and many characters had universal attacks and combo strings, and it was the special moves that separated them, helping us determine who the best character is. Another newcomer was the top of this tier list, and her name is Tanya. Tanya was, in many ways, similar to Melina in MK2 as to why she's so powerful, a mixture of amazing combo tools, fast attacks and strange punishes, while sporting a smaller hurtbox than most. Tanya's drill kick is the single best special move in the game, and she can punish things other characters may struggle with. Convert off any touch, anti-air, air-to-air. She's doing things that many other characters can only dream about in MK4, and she's so dominant in what she does that she is strongly considered the game's most dangerous character at high level. The Sega Dreamcast exclusive Mortal Kombat Gold played like Mortal Kombat 4, but it introduced a bunch of returning characters from previous games. And the game's more hidden character, only accessible by some code inputs and the game's in-game secret menu, is without question the number one. Sector in Mortal Kombat Gold is projectiles galore. You cannot fight this character with most of the cast. And I know people usually say that with zoning characters, but you cannot fight this character. Genuinely, anybody who can learn special move inputs for his projectiles can win. There is no cooldown, there is no limit to how many can be thrown, and they stay on the screen and linger for longer than you'd think. When you finally hit this character, you're probably going to eat a smart missile or two. Not even factoring in his effortless combo game thanks to looping teleport punch, this character is possibly the easiest top tier Mortal Kombat has ever seen, and one of the most infamous characters in the entire franchise. It is the definition of broken. If MK Gold ever had a serious competitive scene, Sector would be banned, for sure. Now we enter the PS2 era of 3D Mortal Kombat, and here you're going to see a repeat entry, because Scorpion was consistently number one, and it started in Deadly Alliance. Scorpion in Deadly Alliance played the game so perfectly. He had the mid versus low mix-ups, he had great damage, great frame data and attacks that are super safe but rewarding on hit, he had great use from his stance abilities, and that was a Deadly Alliance specific feature, and importantly, ways to combo into his unblockable Hellfire that in this game was a restand, and it was plus enough on hit to guarantee a 50-50 between mid and low, and you have to remember in these games, mids are essentially overheads. Many of his useful moves can be backdash cancelled to be made even safer, his best moves have amazing tracking and cannot be interrupted. Long story short, Scorpion in Deadly Alliance was, as I've said before, the perfect character, and had amazing reward for pretty much no risk. Mortal Kombat Deception is where we slightly changed things up a bit, because it had possibly one of the funniest top tiers in Mortal Kombat history, and I'm speaking on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox versions of the game, not the GameCube version which had some changes as it released later. In most Deception tier lists, it is Dairu at number one. Not because of his stances, not because of his combo strings or anything like that, because of his special moves, and mostly one special move. The Tombstone Drop. It is no exaggeration that the Tombstone Drop is one of, if not the most busted special move in all of Mortal Kombat. Straight up, this move is a 3-frame, tracking, launching unblockable. The only way to avoid it is to jump, but jumping in Deception is slow and it takes a while, so most of the time you'll get hit even trying to jump, and if it hits, Dairu gets a combo and sets it up all over again. While using this unreactable launching 3-frame ground pound, Dairu also goes low to the ground so he can avoid opponent attacks at the same time. It is utterly ridiculous, and the reason many Deception players place Dairu at the #1 spot. For Mortal Kombat Armageddon, we return to Scorpion, who is once again the strongest character, but Scorpion is pretty much the same idea as Deadly Alliance, and he was still powerful in Deception. He just didn't have the tombstone drop. And when I say the same idea, I do not mean the same moves. I mean that he just had a really effective and safe game plan of mid versus low, powerful tracking moves, very strong combo damage, and the ability to consistently open you up with safe attacks, in a game where many characters would struggle to do that and had way more unsafe moves. Remember that Armageddon removed backdash cancelling. Armageddon in its meta was the most simple of the PlayStation 2 era games, and Scorpion had a game plan that just worked. Big damage, safe yet unseeable mix-ups, the best tracking in the game arguably, Scorpion was a perfect character in a game that had many imperfect characters. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe was a flawed game, especially in high level. There was just lots of weird stuff in there that resulted in characters that could abuse the most abusable stuff being the best characters on the tier list. One such character was Green Lantern, who for some may have been harder to place versus someone like The Flash, as the two of them were the two best characters in the game. But Green Lantern did one thing better than everybody else, and that is abuse the combo breaker system. In MK vs DC, combo breakers are easy to build and they launch the opponent on hit. They often send the opponent too far away for a lot of characters to get stuff from, but not Green Lantern, who off almost every combo breaker could combo into his launching lift attack. You have a character who is really strong in general, sporting great buttons, good frame data, respectable range and damage, getting a full combo because you hit him. If you're fighting a character that's already really good, and now the threat of doing even more damage results in a full combo to you, you're officially stuck. And this character is a clear #1 in my eyes, because at this point, there's basically nothing you can do if he has a combo breaker locked and loaded. Mortal Kombat 9 saw the rebirth of the franchise and the return of many old-school characters, and in many ways retaining a playstyle from previous titles, and that is where Kabal shines through once again as #1. Kabal beat every character in the game on the matchup chart, including himself due to player 1 advantage. He had the best rushdown, the best armored reversal, the best zoning. There was never a situation where Kabal was not in control in some form. Oh, it's a smaller stage? Fine, I'll just rush you down. Oh, it's a larger stage? Splendid! Instant air gas blast time. I have meter? Oh, the flash parry of a cancelled enhanced nomad dash is going to make my opponent fear going in or pressuring me on wake up. I mean, Kabal in this game is a well-documented top tier, and the legacy of how broken this character is usually started here for many people. Oh man, in Mortal Kombat X, where do you start? I know there's been many broken top tiers throughout the different patches. I mean, pre-patch Summoner Quan, of course, launch Alien, pre-patch Tanya, even. There's been a lot of characters in the game who have had their spot as #1 at some point for many players, and I know that MKX even to this day is a tricky one to place an absolute best. But for this video, I want to focus on the final version, the one that exists right now, and in my opinion, what the single best variation is at tournament level. I really wanted to say Tremor here because all 3 variations are incredible and everybody has a pocket crystalline. However, there is still one variation above all that stands out to me. Dragon's Fire Liu Kang is the single best variation in the entire game for me. And I know I'm not alone here. At the highest level where competitors have truly perfected their execution years later, this variation does it all. chip damage for days, run cancels that stick you in place and full combo you into huge damage on hit, the corner sequences of absolute life bar deletion, an incredible armored reversal that steals back any time you think you're safe to take your turn and pressure him, or maybe even get your own turn back, getting hit by a single instant air fireball from full screen and losing full combos worth of life because your opponent has the fastest hands in the world. All I'm saying is, when mastered, no matter how difficult that may be, this variation is the number one. But I'm sure some people might disagree with that. When we're talking about Mortal Kombat 11, we kinda have to talk about the absolute final major tournament and why we saw the characters we saw. I know the reputation of the tier list is often Jackie and Cetrion, and don't get me wrong, that's for good reason. But at the end, many high-level players were in the opinion that Fujin is the best character in MK11. Here's why. This is because the character at the highest level had the best movement, gliding across the screen and being almost impossible to chase with many characters. Hit confirmable high damage from powerful mids that sported great range. Keep away at distance thanks to wind push that both zoned and counter-zoned. The pressure of air specials and skywalk combined. Extremely viable application of the KB mechanic, and fatal blows being easy to combo into, adding immense damage even at the end of longer combos. There's a reason the final few matches at the EVO finals this year had so many players pick Fujin. Because in many cases, at the level of a Ninja Killer, a Scorpion Prox, or a Nicholas, if you wanted to keep up with what that Fujin is doing, your best bet was to pick Fujin yourself and match incredible tools with incredible tools. And finally, right now, the forever ongoing discussion of Mortal Kombat 1. Over a month into the game's life at this point, and with our first major balance patch altering some of the characters and cameos already, who is currently the best as of this video being uploaded? By all means, you could be watching this a year from now and things will be totally different by the time you're watching it, but at the end of 2023, it has to be Johnny Cage. Cage was already in the discussion for being number one before the patch, and the patch didn't change Cage in any way. The only other contender to perhaps maybe match him is Kenshi, as Kenshi didn't receive much either and was already top tier as well. But Cage is just unbelievable right now. Pressure involving mass plus frames, paired with something like a Kung Lao cameo, so you can't even zone him out. Doubling up Kung Lao for pressure, mix-ups and safety on the advance. Johnny Cage has the best rushdown in the game currently, and he cannot be zoned out. He is going to get in eventually, and when he does, it's all Cage. You never truly know when it's your turn to fight back, and one good read from the Cage player gives you a full combo, and you're right back where you started. Will it stay this way forever? Who knows? It's still early days, but at the moment, many players consider Johnny Cage to be the best character in Mortal Kombat 1. And that is the strongest character from every mainstream Mortal Kombat game. It's a pretty varied list if you ask me, and I think it's a great way to look back on various characters and see where they started so many years ago. However, thank you all so much for watching. Stick around for more Mortal Kombat content to come, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.